Criminal Police Captain Xu Changsheng, known as the Little Zhuge, in the words of his team members, always manages to unravel and find key clues in complex cases, bringing criminals to justice. This book records some of the difficult cases that demonstrate Xu Changsheng's reasoning skills. Chapter 1. Falling Off a Cliff, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the early morning of late autumn, the dawn is slightly dewy, and the sky has just turned white. At the top of Mount Laoshan, there is a cool breeze. The mountaintop is a platform of about 20 square meters, roughly square in shape, with no other vegetation except for some low shrubs around it. To the east of the mountaintop facing the sea, as if cut by a knife, is a cliff several hundred meters high. To prevent anyone from falling, sturdy wooden railings that are waist-high as adults are used to block it. The other three sides are connected to the mountain, and there are multiple paths leading to the foot of the mountain. This is an excellent platform to watch the sunrise, and if it's on holidays or weekends, there must be many tourists gathering here to watch the sunrise. But today is just an ordinary workday, and there are very few tourists, whether they are tour groups or individual travelers, who come to Laoshan for tourism, let alone how many people come here so early to watch the sunrise. At this moment, the voices of two ladies came from the small path to the west. "Director Wang, I'm really sorry for asking you to take me to watch the sunrise so early," one of the ladies said apologetically. "Ms. Wang, you don't have to be embarrassed. The customer's needs are our service direction, and besides, I have been a tour guide for so many years and have long been accustomed to getting up early." The tour guide surnamed Wang said to this lady who is also surnamed Wang, "Before I came, I did some homework. According to online reports, the sunrise time in autumn is usually around 4:30 p.m. Yes, we arrived earlier today and had ample time to prepare." As they were speaking, they had already reached the mountaintop platform. Both Ms. Wang are relatively tall, and they both look around 1.7 meters tall. One of the women had short hair in her ears, wore a long cashmere coat, wore a red scarf around her neck, and wore a pair of brown short boots on her feet, which looked very fashionable. Another woman is wearing a ponytail, a black down jacket on her upper body, blue jeans on her lower body, Nike sneakers on her feet, and a beret. You can guess from her attire that this lady with a ponytail is Wang, the tour guide. Ms. Wang propped up the tripod she brought on the platform near the west side, and then took out the camera from her backpack and placed it on the tripod. She leaned up to the camera and looked at the direction of the sunrise in the east through the lens, gently adjusting the height and angle of the tripod to ensure that the angle and composition of the shot met her requirements. "You must be an expert in taking photos, you can tell from these equipment," said Wang with envy as he stood by. "I just learned how to play. There are a few colleagues in our unit who are experts. They go to Northern Europe every year to specially take auroras," said Ms. Wang humbly. "Can you take photos?" Ms. Wang asked. "A little bit, I have also taken photos for other tourists before, but it may not be very good," said tour guide Wang. "That's great. Can you help me take some photos before sunrise first?" Ms. Wang walked towards the edge of the cliff while speaking, then turned around at the railing and looked at the camera. Guide Wang walked behind the tripod, and because she was about the same height as Ms. Wang, there was no need to adjust her height and angle. She immediately took a few photos with a snap, snap, snap. "Take a few more back photos," Ms. Wang said as she turned around and looked east. She also raised her hands to create the flying shape that Ruth and Jack had done at the bow of the Titanic. Pop, pop, pop. Wang Guidao pressed the shutter several times again. Ms. Wang walked back to the camera and previewed the photo that tour guide Wang had taken for her just now. She praised her and said, "It was really great. Can you also take a few pictures?" Ms. Wang said to tour guide Wang. "No need, I have taken many photos here." "Oh," Ms. Wang was slightly disappointed. "Can you help me shoot a video?" Wang, the tour guide, immediately changed his mind when he saw that Ms. Wang was a bit disappointed. Okay, I'll switch to shooting mode now, Ms. Wang said as she switched the camera from shooting mode to shooting mode. Has it been adjusted? Guide Wang asked as he walked towards the railing. Alright, Ms. Wang replied. Guide Wang walked to the railing without turning back. She held her phone in her left hand and lifted it flat, facing the direction of the distant sea. At this moment, the sun is about to emerge from the horizon, and the clouds on the horizon are dyed golden and red, forming a beautiful morning glow. The distance from the tripod to the railing is about 6 or 7 meters. Ms. Wang walked out from behind the tripod and slowly walked towards the railing. Look at the beautiful morning glow on the sea level over there. Ms. Wang said as she got closer and closer to tour guide Wang. When Ms. Wang was only a little over a meter away from guide Wang, she raised her hands flat to her chest and suddenly quickened her pace, pushing towards guide Wang's back like a starving tiger. Just as her hands were about to touch Wang's back, Wang suddenly dodged to the left. Due to excessive force and pushing her hands into the air, Ms. Wang's entire upper body suddenly protruded out of the railing under the inertia effect. Although the center of gravity had passed over the railing, Ms. Wang did not fall off immediately due to her waist being blocked by the railing. Her hands danced wildly and she let out an exclamation of surprise. The guide Wang who flashed beside her reacted quickly and immediately turned back, extending her right hand and gently pushing her back. Ms. Wang's body floated down like a leaf. Immediately, a long string of mournful, "ah," came from the valley below. A few seconds later, the shouting stopped and the valley returned to silence, as if nothing had happened. It's not good, something big is going on. Call 110 and report to the police. A woman shouted and ran into the lobby of Laoshan Hotel. It was Wang, the tour guide, who ran in. At this moment, her face was flushed and she was out of breath. It's not yet 5 o'clock at this moment, and there are only a few tourists in the lobby, all of whom are preparing to go out early to watch the sunrise. Upon seeing this scene, they all stopped and looked at guide Wang. Wang Daoyu ran straight to the service desk. Xiao Qin, quickly call 110, someone is falling off a cliff, shouted anxiously to the on-duty waiter upon hearing that it was a cliff fall. Xiao Qin was also taken aback and immediately picked up the 110 hotline hanging next to the service desk. Hotels and resorts like this scenic spot have set up 110 hotlines for quick reporting and seeking help. I'm 110, may I ask if you have anything to report to the police? Xiao Qin immediately handed the phone to tour guide Wang and said, Sister Chuanxiu, come on. It seems that Xiao Qin is very familiar with this female tour guide named Wang Chuanxiu. It's too scary, Wang Yanping fell off the cliff, Wang Chuanxiu said in a hurried tone. Please slow down and clarify where someone fell off the cliff. At the observation platform on the top of Laoshan Mountain. When did it happen? Just now, around 4:30. Okay, we will arrange for the police to come over immediately. Please pay attention to your safety and do not gather at the accident site. Upon hearing the alarm conversation just now, several tourists in the hall immediately gathered around. They asked Wang Chuanxiu with various tongues, can't someone really fall off the cliff? Who did it fall off the cliff? Did it jump off by oneself or accidentally? Wang Chuanxiu kept covering her face and didn't say anything, with a frightened and uncertain expression. Soon, the hotel manager Lin Feng rushed over upon hearing the news, and Xiao Qin had just informed him. Cheng Peng, quickly get some isolation signs from the warehouse and come with me to the mountaintop. The police have trained hotel personnel, and when encountering such a big event, the first thing is to try to protect the scene as much as possible and not let the onlookers damage the traces of the scene. Mount Laoshan is not too high, with an altitude of over 1,000 meters. The Laoshan Hotel is built on a large platform halfway up the mountain, and the end point of the winding mountain road is the Laoshan Hotel. To visit various scenic spots further, you need to walk, with multiple stone steps leading to the mountaintop. It usually takes over half an hour to walk and see from the hotel to the mountaintop. Lin Feng and Cheng Peng walked quickly with isolation signs and arrived at the mountaintop in just over 10 minutes. Fortunately, there were very few tourists today. They found that there were no tourists on the mountaintop, but they saw a tripod standing to the west with a camera on top, with the lens facing towards the sunrise in the direction of the sea. They quickly lined up the isolation signs at the edge of the mountaintop platform a few meters apart, and then pulled out the isolation rope, forming a barrier. People coming from behind are not allowed to enter this mountaintop platform. They are both guarding outside, waiting for the police to come and handle it. Chapter 2. Falling from Cliffs, 2. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. More than 10 minutes later, the sound of police sirens came from the foot of the mountain. After about 10 minutes, a group of detectives appeared on the mountaintop carrying bags and boxes. The leader was a young female police officer with short hair, who was delicate yet resolute. She was Sun Yi, a capable disciple of Xu Changsheng, the captain of the Jinhai Criminal Investigation Brigade. Recently, Master Xu Changsheng was transferred to the province to solve a major case and was not in Jinhai. The Wu Bureau temporarily entrusted Sun Yi with full responsibility for all criminal cases, which was also Xu Changsheng's suggestion. At first, Sun Yi was a bit nervous, but her master said she could contact him if there were any problems, so she felt at ease. Lin Feng quickly welcomed him and briefly explained the situation on site. After a brief thank you, Sun Yi immediately arranged for work. Xiao Zheng led people to take a detour down the cliff to check the situation of Wang Yanping who fell off the cliff. She and Xiao Lu were responsible for inspecting the scene themselves. Xiao Lu from the Technical Investigation Department took photos of the ground, railings, tripods, and surrounding environment from multiple angles for record keeping. After taking photos, they carefully collected fingerprints on the ground, footprints, railings, tripods, and cameras, and carefully placed evidence such as tripods and cameras into the evidence bag. The mountaintop in late autumn is dry and cold, and the soil on the ground is hard and firm, with no footprints at all. No clear fingerprints were collected at the railing, which is normal in such a complex outdoor environment. However, it doesn't matter. Extracting footprints and fingerprints are their routine tasks when they go to the police, and they may not be needed today. Because according to the report from tour guide Wang Chuanxiu, Wang Yanping fell off a cliff by herself, which is likely to be a suicide or accidental fall together. However, they will not fully believe Wang Chuanxiu's one-sided words, and the background investigation of both sides still needs to be carried out. Sun Yi tried to push every railing with her hand, but it remained motionless and intact. Then she lay on the railing and looked down, only seeing a patch of green trees below, unable to see the falling body of Wang Yanping. Sun Yi estimated the height and felt that the drop in the cliff was at least 100 meters or more. People who are afraid of heights would feel weak in their legs and dizzy when standing here. The possibility of survival from this fall is extremely slim. When Sun Yi and his team were conducting a survey for over half an hour, Xiao Zheng called from the cliff and told Sun Yi that Wang Yanping had completely lost any signs of life, as expected by Sun Yi. Sun Yi asked him to transport the body directly to the police car they parked at the entrance of Laoshan Hotel, where they met. Half an hour later, Sun Yi and Xiao Zheng met at the parking station of Laoshan Hotel. Sun Yi asked Xiao Zheng to bring Wang Yanping's body back to the bureau and ask Lao Qian to do an autopsy as soon as possible. She stayed behind to find the informant Wang Chuanxiu to understand the situation. Sun Yi met Wang Chuanxiu in a small conference room of the hotel. Wang Chuanxiu's first impression of Sun Yi was simplicity. Her appearance was very ordinary, and due to being exposed to the wind and rain all year round, her skin was also a bit rough. Wang Chuanxiu stood up somewhat hesitantly when she saw Sun Yi in police uniform. "Miss Wang, don't be nervous. We just need to understand some of the situations where Wang Yanping fell off the cliff," Sun Yi said in a calm tone and gestured for Wang Chuanxiu to sit down. "Did you report the case this morning?" "Yes." "Was it just the two of you at the mountaintop?" "Yes." Tell me about what happened at that time. At that time, I was standing at the railing, facing the direction of sunrise. Ms. Wang was behind the tripod and took a video for me. After filming for a while, I felt someone running over from behind, so I instinctively turned around and realized that it was Ms. Wang who was throwing herself out of the railing. I immediately wanted to reach out and pull her, but it was too late. Her upper body was already flying out, and I couldn't grab her cashmere coat with my right hand. She fell off, and I watched helplessly as she fell off such a high cliff in front of me. Speaking of which, Wang Chuanxiu covered her face with both hands and her tone changed, feeling like she was about to cry. Sun Yi walked over and gently patted Wang Chuanxiu's shoulder, helping her calm her emotions. After a while, seeing that Wang Chuanxiu had stabilized, Sun Yi continued to ask, "Did Wang Yanping have anything unusual before?" "No," she adjusted the tripod and asked me to take a few photos of her first. Then she said she wanted to take a few more photos of me, but I said I didn't take them after taking them here multiple times. She looked a bit disappointed, so I immediately asked her to take a video for me. What happened later was what I just mentioned. Who proposed taking the sunrise this morning? It was proposed by Ms. Wang. How did she bring it up? Last night after we finished dinner, she approached me and said she wanted to take a photo of the sunrise this morning. However, it was not yet fully daylight at that time, and she was a bit afraid of walking the mountain road alone. She asked if I would like to go with her. I said yes because I have been a tour guide for many years and have been accustomed to waking up early. Do you know each other before? I don't know. Tell me about your tour group situation. Our group is a 3-day tour of Laoshan by China Youth Travel Service, CYTS. If there are at least 20 people registered, they will start as a group. As it is the middle of the week, most of the participants in the group are elderly people. Wang Yanping is in her 30s, isn't she? Yes, she is relatively young in our group, but it's not surprising. There are always a few younger people participating in this week's group. Maybe they prefer traveling when there are fewer people. Was she the one who volunteered her name? I'm not quite sure about this, you can check through our travel agency. I'm only responsible for leading the team as a tour guide. Sun Yi didn't have anything else to ask Wang Chuanxiu about at the moment, so she said, "We'll get to know this place today. We'll contact you when we need to know anything. If you have anything you remember to tell me, feel free to call me anytime." She tore off a piece of paper from her notebook, wrote down her phone number, and handed it to Wang Chuanxiu. Wang Chuanxiu took the note and nodded before leaving. When Sun Yi asked Wang Chuanxiu, she had been paying attention to the changes in her expression, but she did not see anything unusual about Wang Chuanxiu. Returning to the bureau, Sun Yi remembered Wang Chuanxiu saying that Wang Yanping was filming a video for her before the incident, so she took out the camera from her evidence bag. The standby capability of this camera is really good. Although they were still shooting with the camera on when they arrived at the mountaintop, the battery is still only half full. After Sun Yi rebooted, she entered the preview mode for photos and videos. There are not many photos and videos in the camera, and the viewing time is only these 2 days. Perhaps Wang Yanping has deleted old photos in advance to free up storage space for today's sunrise shooting. Sun Yi quickly flipped through the photos, most of which were taken by the tourist group at various scenic spots after arriving at Laoshan yesterday. There were also some personal photos taken by Wang Yanping using a tripod or with the help of others. The time on the photo arrived this morning. The first few were taken from the location where the tripod was placed on the mountaintop, and the following few were taken by Wang Chuanxiu for Wang Yanping, facing the camera and facing north. The end of the camera was indeed a video, lasting over 90 minutes, because the filming did not stop from Wang Yanping's start until their colleagues in the Technical Investigation Department collected the camera as evidence. Sun Yi pressed the video file and the display screen immediately started moving. Wang Chuanxiu's figure appeared in the picture, smiling directly at the camera. After a few seconds, Wang Chuanxiu turned around and turned her back to the camera. She took out her phone with her left hand and seemed to be taking selfies, but due to the distance, she couldn't see the content displayed on her phone screen clearly. After a while, Wang Yanping's back appeared up close to the screen, as she slowly walked towards the railing. At this moment, a person's voice came out of the video. "Look at the beautiful morning glow on the sea level over there." Not long after the words ended, Wang Yanping suddenly accelerated her speed and rushed forward, with her arms seemingly raised in front of her body. As she was close to the camera, her body blocked the camera, and Wang Chuanxiu's figure could not be seen at this moment. After a moment, Wang Yanping had already reached the railing in the picture, and her upper body seemed to have poked out. At this moment, Wang Chuanxiu was facing the camera direction on Wang Yanping's right side. She quickly turned left and reached out her right hand to grab Wang Yanping's back. However, Wang Yanping's inertia seemed too strong, and Wang Chuanxiu couldn't catch her. In the video, there was a long and mournful cry of, "Ah!" And Wang Chuanxiu lay on the railing and looked down for a while. Suddenly, she turned around and ran towards the camera, crying and shouting, and then disappeared from the left side of the screen. In the later camera image, a red sun slowly rises from the sea level. As time goes on, the red sun becomes deeper and higher, but no human figure appears again. From the content captured in this video, what Wang Chuanxiu said is true. But why did Wang Yanping suddenly choose to jump off the cliff? And the posture of jumping off the cliff is also very strange. It is throwing out, rather than standing down like most people who jump off the building. Sun Yi decided to call her master tonight to report the situation and see what he said. Now, let's first check if the autopsy report of Lao Qian is out, and then investigate the situation of the deceased Wang Yanping thoroughly. Chapter 3. Falling from Cliffs, 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Sun Yi arrived at the forensic autopsy room, she happened to see Old Qian taking off his gloves and washing his hands. "Old Qian, have you finished the autopsy?" "Little girl, you're a life-threatening ghost, always in such a hurry," Old Qian complained. "That's not true. I was carved from the same mold as my master." "Okay, the report will take another 15 minutes. As for the result, I can tell you now. Completely normal." "What, normal?" Sun Yi was a bit puzzled. Lao Qian said calmly, "I mean it conforms to the normal phenomenon of a high-altitude fall. The deceased suffered a comminuted fracture in the head due to a violent impact on the ground, and his brain splattered all over the ground. There were also multiple comminuted fractures in his limbs, and his internal organs were severely ruptured. Each of these injuries was fatal. Has she ever taken any stimulants or other medications that may cause this behavior?" Sun Yi asked. "From the stomach juice test, it appears that she hasn't eaten any food this morning, and may not even have drunk water. We are currently conducting a blood test, and there are quite a few items that need to be tested. It may not be until tomorrow that all of them will be available." "Oh, so it seems like this could be." She was originally planning to say it was a suicide case by jumping off a cliff, but suddenly stopped when her master warned her not to draw a conclusion easily. Besides, the blood test results haven't come out yet. What if it were found that she had been injected with some hallucinogenic drug? Returning to his office, Xiaoqi, who was responsible for investigating the background of the deceased Wang Yanping, was already waiting with a few pages of information. Xiaoqi's full name is Qi Zhaoshi. He just graduated from the police academy this year and was selected by Xu Changsheng to join the criminal investigation team due to his excellent performance in various exams. The young man is 1.8 meters tall, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He is a handsome guy. When I first reported to the police, everyone joked that you wouldn't be making a movie. What are you doing here? Xiao Qi replied, I can be an undercover agent. If necessary, I can use a handsome man trick. His humor made everyone burst into laughter. Although Xiao Qi may seem like a big boy, he is actually very thoughtful and wouldn't have liked him if it weren't for Xu Changsheng. Sun Yi took the materials handed over by Xiao Qi and carefully read them. Page 1. Personal resume, with a 2-inch ID photo of Wang Yanping in the upper right corner, dignified and beautiful. Wang Yanping, female, Han ethnicity, was born in June 1984. The current Deputy Director of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Jinhai City. Graduated from Fengyang Primary School in Qingnan District, Guanxian County, Jinhai City in July 1997. Graduated from Guanghua Middle School in Qingnan District, Guanxian County, Jinhai City in July 2000. Graduated from Guanxian Second Senior High School in Jinhai City in July 2003 and was admitted to the Chinese Department of Hedong Provincial University of Technology. Graduated from the Chinese Department of Hedong University of Science and Technology in July 2007. In October 2007, passed the Unified Recruitment Examination for Public Institutions in Guan County and served as a clerk in the Civil Affairs Bureau of Guan County. June 2011. Chief of Registered Residence Section of Civil Affairs Bureau of Guanxian County in December 2014, appointed as the Director of the Office of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Guan County in December 2016, appointed as the Deputy Director of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Guan County in February 2018. Appointed as the Director of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Guan County in September 2020, appointed as the Deputy Director of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Jinhai City. Oh, Sun Yi exclaimed softly upon seeing this, so it's still the new Deputy Director of our city. Yeah, being a Deputy Director at such a young age has an infinite future. How could you not imagine it? Xiao Qi also sighed beside him. Page 2. Family relationships. Father. Wang Jupeng, Deputy District Chief of Qingnan District, Guanxian County. Mother. Zhang Caixia, employee of Guanxian Cotton Textile Factory. Husband. Qin Haiping, Director of Guanxian Tractor Factory. Son. Qin Xinyu, a student of Jinhai Experimental Middle School. Has Wang Yanping's family arrived? Sun Yi asked. We have already informed Wang Yanping's husband at noon that he happened to be going to the Guanxian factory today. After receiving the notice, he said he will come back soon and should be back soon. Sun Yi has been to Guan County before, where there are mountains everywhere and it is a well-known poverty-stricken county. It takes a winding mountain road to travel back and forth between Guanxian and Jinhai City, and the one-way journey takes more than 3 hours. It will take some time for Wang Yanping's husband to rush back. Towards evening, Sun Yi's landline rang, and old Wu in the reception room told him that a middle-aged man said it was Wang Yanping's family. Sun Yi immediately went downstairs to the reception room. As she descended the stairs, she saw a middle-aged man with an anxious expression standing at the door. Judging from his dusty appearance, he seemed to have just returned from another city. Are you Qin Haiping, Wang Yanping's husband? Yes. We have already told you the basic situation over the phone, and now we will take you to meet someone. However, you need to be mentally prepared first. Maybe it looks like it now. It's okay, I have good psychological resilience. Qin Haiping knew what Sun Yi was trying to say. Okay, then you come with me. Sun Yi took Qin Haiping to the morgue. As soon as they arrived at the door, a cold and gloomy wind blew, causing Qin Haiping to shiver uncontrollably. Entering inside, Sun Yi led Qin Haiping to a stretcher cart covered with a white cloth. She looked at Qin Haiping and saw that his expression was okay, so she lifted the white cloth on his head. Qin Haiping was stunned for a moment, then collapsed and sat down, muttering, "It's her, it's her. How could that be? She wouldn't have jumped down on her own. I don't believe she would have been short-sighted." Sun Yi also glanced at the body, and Lao Qian handled it really well. Now Wang Yanping's face looks quite peaceful. Xiao Qi took Qin Haiping back to the reception room and poured him a cup of hot water. Intuition told Sun Yi that Qin Haiping was surprised, shocked, and saddened by Wang Yanping's passing, and it didn't seem like he was pretending. "Excuse me for taking the liberty, is your marital relationship good?" Sun Yi asked straightforwardly, thinking that if Wang Yanping committed suicide, marital discord would be the most likely cause. We have been married for over a decade and have been loving each other without any arguments. We spend important days like our wedding anniversary, birthdays, and even Western Valentine's Day together, no matter what other important work we have. Has she encountered any unhappy or unpleasant things at work? No, if there were, she would definitely tell me. In the first few years of getting married, she had just started her career and didn't get along well with some colleagues at work. When she came back, she often told me about it. In recent years, she has become a leader and hardly ever seen her frown. How is her health? Very good, their unit undergoes physical examinations every year and has not found any major problems. The physical examination last month this year was also normal. Is there anything your son needs you to worry about? No, we have been excellent in both character and education since we were young, so we don't need to worry at all. How has her mood been lately? It's nothing different from usual. Did she often travel alone before? She rarely travels, to be precise. The two of us have been very busy, and the number of times we have traveled over the years is rare. Sun Yi secretly thought to herself that the couple, one official and one entrepreneur, were not busy. Why did she sign up for a group trip to Laoshan alone this time? Sun Yi asked, taking into account the situation. She mentioned this to me half a month ago. She said that a few colleagues from her company went on a trip to Laoshan and took many sunrise photos, which she found very beautiful. Coincidentally, she started learning photography with them this year, so I encouraged her to take photos herself. I just casually mentioned it at the time, but I didn't expect her to tell me last weekend that her company was available this week. She decided to take a few days off and sign up for a tour group to take photos of the sunrise in Laoshan. I happened to be busy in the factory this week, so I wanted to apologize and explain to her. I didn't expect her to be very considerate and say that she would let me work with peace of mind. She could go alone, anyway. She was signing up for a tour group. Speaking of which, Qin Haiping let out a long sigh and said, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. If only I could go with her. Sunny didn't know how to comfort him, so she had to wait silently. When can I bring Yanping back? Mr. Qin, please wait a few more days. Once we have a conclusion on this matter, we will notify you, Sun Yi said apologetically. After Qin Haiping left, the investigation result of Wang Yanping, a CYTS travel agency, applying for a tour group came out. She reported the group through trip. So far, Sun Yi has not found any doubts during the investigation process. But why would such a successful woman with a successful career and a happy family suddenly jump off a cliff without warning and commit suicide? At 6 o'clock in the evening, night falls and the streets of Jinhai are illuminated with lights. Sun Yi picked up her phone and dialed the number of her master Xu Changsheng. Master, is your case almost over? We all miss you. Think of me. Do you think of me as an old man? Tell me, what kind of trouble did you encounter? If there's any trouble, it's fine. I don't think it's a problem at all. Then Sun Yi reported the cliff fall alarm she received today and the preliminary investigation afterwards. Many accidents are accidents, and we should not delve into details when we have no evidence. However, some accidents may seem unexpected, but in reality, they conceal hidden secrets. The key is to be good at discovering details. Sun Yi couldn't figure it out and said, Master, isn't that equivalent to not saying anything? Yeah, I don't know the details now, so I can't determine the nature of this matter. Afterwards, to be cautious, a careful background check was conducted on the only tour guide present at the time, Wang Chuanxiu, but no doubts were found. So after more than 2 weeks of multiple checks, it was determined that Wang Yanping accidentally fell off a cliff. Chapter 4. Disclosure, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. More than 3 months later. Ding ling ling. Sun Yi had just entered the office this morning when the phone on the desk rang. Sun Yi quickly ran over and picked up the phone. Sun Yi, take someone to Jinhai Guanshan prison right away. Prison warden Li Zhucheng called this morning, saying that a prisoner named Wang Dali was arguing about exposing a murder case. The voice on the other end of the phone came from Wu Bureau. Yes, Sun Yi replied. Xiao Qi, come with me, Sun Yi said as she walked outside the door. Upon hearing Sun Yi calling out his name, Qi Zhaoshi immediately put down his work and chased after him. The other team members in the office, such as Xiao Zheng and Xiao Li, looked enviously outside the door. They were not envious of Xiao Qi for calling the police, but rather envious of how much he was valued by Miss Sunday. Guanshan Prison is located at the foot of Guanshan in Guanxin County, Jinhai City. It is backed by the tall Guanshan and faces the turbulent Guanhe River, making it an ideal place to build a prison. The warden has arranged for the warden in charge of the third ward, Hu Yunkai, to wait at the door for Sun Yi and the others. Wang Dali, who is clamoring to expose the murder case, is in the ward he is responsible for. As soon as Sun Yi and the others arrived, Hu Yunkai warmly welcomed them. Officer Sun, why didn't your Su team come this time? Su's team is handling cases in the provincial capital, why don't you welcome us? Sun Yi joked. Where, it's just a bit uncomfortable not seeing Su's team, Hu Yun said with a smile. With Hu Yunkai leading the way, Sun Yi and the others quickly and conveniently arrived at an interrogation room in the third ward, otherwise it would take some time to verify their identities. Before interrogating Wang Dali, Hu Yunkai handed over the basic information of the pre-printed Wang Dali case to Sun Yi and Xiao Qi. Wang Dali, male, 46 years old, from Chengnan District, Guanxin County, is a taxi driver. On the evening of March 28, 2021, Wang Dali ran a red light at the intersection of Maoming Road and Taiyan Road in Jinhai City, causing the death of Feng Shuqin, who was walking through the sidewalk. He was found to be fully responsible and sentenced to 3 years imprisonment in accordance with the law. At this moment, the prison guard brought in a middle-aged man of medium build, slightly overweight, dressed in prison uniform, and asked him to sit in the opposite prison chair. Sun Yi took out the interrogation recorder and placed it on the table in front of her, with the camera pointing towards Wang Dali. Wang Dali, if you have anything to report or expose, just tell these 2 police officers clearly and there must be no concealment. After Hu Yunkai finished speaking, he left. Wang Dali didn't speak immediately, but stared at Sun Yi and the 2 of them for a while, several times before hesitating to speak. Sun Yi saw the situation and said, "Aren't you arguing to expose the murder case? Why didn't you say it again? If I report and expose it, can it be considered a meritorious service? Can the sentence be reduced?" Wang Dali finally spoke up. "If what you have reported is true and valuable, we will consider it at our discretion," Sun Yi replied. Wang Dali tilted his head for a moment, as if weighing the pros and cons. Sun Yi gave Xiao Qi a wink, and then the 2 of them stood up and walked outside the door. "Wait, I'll say it," Wang Dali shouted. Sun Yi and Xiao Qi returned and sat down again. "My traffic accident was not an accident, someone asked me to take over. It wasn't me who killed Feng Shuqin. Isn't it you who drove that taxi that night?" Sun Yi asked. "No, I initially drove it, but I didn't drive it when I hit Feng Shuqin. What's going on? Take your time to explain the cause and effect clearly." Wang Dali lowered his head, thought for a moment, and then said, 2 days before the incident, I was having lunch at the taxi house when I received a strange phone call with a tone that was neither male nor female. The call asked if my name was Wang Dali, and I said yes. He said he wanted to make some money, and I said yes. Then I asked how much money it was, and he said 1 million. At that time, I thought someone was pranking me, so I hung up the phone. After a moment of pause, Wang Dali continued, I didn't expect that person to call again after a while. He said your son didn't have leukemia and needed a lot of money, right? I was surprised and asked how he knew. He said you don't need to worry about this, and you said you want 1 million. My son suddenly had leukemia last year, and our family had already spent a lot of money. We also owe a lot of money to relatives and friends. At that time, we were worried about how to continue raising money to treat our child. I even applied for assistance from the relevant government departments. As soon as I heard that person say that, I realized it might be true, but I don't know what he would ask me to do. It probably wouldn't be a good thing. I'll try asking you what you want me to do. Did he ask you to do something? He said he wouldn't let me kill or set fire, just create a traffic accident that runs a red light and punish a bad person. I said that's not possible, I can't do that kind of thing. He said I don't need to do it, I'll go over and replace it later. I was hesitating, but he said he gave me half a day to think about it. After considering it carefully, he called him back at night and hung up. Did you come back later? I needed money so much at that time that I could treat my child for 1 million yuan. After much thought, I called him back. He reassured me on the phone, saying that if someone gets injured or dies in a traffic accident caused by running a red light, the insurance company will be responsible for compensation, and the perpetrator can only get out after serving up to 3 years in prison. He looked at me hesitantly and immediately offered me 200,000 yuan to show his sincerity. As soon as I heard about 200,000 yuan, it would take me several years to earn from a taxi, and I couldn't refuse it at the time. So I asked him how he offered it to me, and he told me to go to the trash can under the Ring Road overpass immediately to pick it up. I hung up the phone and went to the place with suspicion. I found a heavy plastic bag in the trash can and opened it in the car. It was indeed a stack of 100 yuan bills. In addition, there was an old-fashioned phone and charger inside the plastic bag. At that moment, the phone he placed rang. He said I should believe it now, I said I believed it. He said I was willing to do it, I said I was willing. I asked him how I would give the money after I did it. He said he would go to the old place at 10 p.m. on the 1st of each month to collect it. If I go in, I can let my wife go and collect it, but I can't let anyone else know, otherwise I won't be able to retrieve the money. Of course, I agreed to this request. In the end, he asked me to always bring the phone he placed and wait for a call. He will contact me in a few days. What's behind it? Sun Yi pursued. A few days later, at noon on the day of the incident, he called again. It was the phone number he left that asked me to drive to an unsupervised roadside near Tai'an Road on Maoming Road at 8 p.m. Then he asked me to wait for his call in a small park next to the intersection of Maoming Road and Tai'an Road. That intersection is a relatively quiet area in the suburbs, where late boarding is rare, and there is no surveillance installed yet. We taxi drivers all know about it. That person obviously did an investigation in causing traffic accidents at that intersection can easily be impersonated. Did you just follow what he said? Yes, I parked the car at his designated place before 8 o'clock as he instructed, and then walked to the park at the intersection of Maoming Road and Tai'an Road to find a place to sit down and wait. I waited for several hours. Has he called you during this time? Sun Yi asked. I called once and he confirmed with me whether he was already in the park. I said yes. Then around 11 o'clock, I suddenly heard a series of piercing sounds, which were made by the strong friction on the ground after the fast-driving car suddenly brakes. I am an experienced driver, absolutely not wrong. What was your reaction at that time? Sun Yi asked. I immediately stood up and instinctively walked towards the intersection, when the phone rang again. I immediately connected and the person told me to go to my own car and use my own phone to report to the police that I accidentally ran a red light and collided with someone. I was willing to take responsibility for the accident, and I didn't say anything else, let alone reveal any information about our transaction, otherwise I wouldn't be able to get the money later on. If I followed his instructions, I would continue to withdraw money from the first place at 10 p.m. on the 1st of each month until I received 1 million yuan. Finally, he asked me to destroy the SIM card of the phone he gave me and find a hidden place to throw it away. I followed his advice. I did what I said. What did you see when you got to the car? I first saw a person lying motionless at the intersection. At that time, I was very panicked and didn't dare to look more. I immediately ran to my car parked more than 20 meters ahead. Then, as the person said, I immediately called the 110 police number, waiting for the police to come and handle it. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, the traffic police rushed over. He saw the person who was hit and immediately called 120. Then, he took photos and collected the accident scene, and finally asked me to drive back to the police station with him for further investigation. To be honest, I was very panicked at the time, but I completely let go of the idea of having a large sum of money to treat my son. Anyway, it means that there were fewer people on that road at that time, and I drove a bit too fast. I wanted to grab a red light and didn't want to collide with pedestrians passing by. I am willing to take responsibility for all traffic accidents and sincerely apologize to my family. The next day, the police told me that the person who was hit was dead. I was fully responsible for the accident because I was speeding and running a red light. Although the insurance company will claim compensation, I am criminally responsible. I still feel guilty when I hear about the person's death, but at this point, I can only go on completely. Chapter 5. Disclosure, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing Wang Dali's words, Sun Yi was somewhat puzzled and asked, "Why are you reporting and exposing this matter now?" "I can't bear it anymore, I've been enduring it for 3 months now," Wang Dali complained fiercely. "What's going on?" Sun Yi urged. "That person didn't keep his word, he changed his mind. My wife has been secretly telling me these past few months that he hasn't continued to give us money. I asked my wife to call me the first time he called me, but she couldn't get through." "When did he not give you money?" "He has been giving me money since April, with 20,000 yuan each time. He leaves a note saying it's enough for me to see a doctor. From May to December 1st, my wife received 20,000 yuan from that trash can, but from January this year to April 8th now, she hasn't given me any more money for these 4 months. And I can't get in touch with him anymore. I think he wants to dump me. How could there be such a cheap thing? He intentionally killed someone and gave me 300,000 yuan, so he can escape legal punishment. So I want to report and expose him." Wang Dali said more and more angrily. "Have you seen him besides talking to him? Did you see him when you arrived at the scene that night? Even his back is fine." Sun Yi asked urgently. "No, I didn't see anyone else at the scene except for the person who was hit." "Can you tell his accent and approximate age through multiple phone calls with him?" "I can't hear it, his voice was very strange. Later on, I remembered that I also heard it on the TV where the case was solved, as if it had been altered by some voice changer." Sun Yi was a bit disappointed and thought to herself that this traffic accident was not simple, it must be a well-planned crime. Returning to the police station, a big surprise awaits her. As soon as she entered the office of the criminal police team, she saw the door of the captain's office open, and inside was a person sitting, who was the master Xu Changsheng. "Master, you're back." Sun Yi shouted as she walked inside. "Yeah, that case has been closed, and they don't care anymore," Xu Changsheng said with a forced expression of helplessness. "Don't make fun of us, you must have made a big contribution, don't you? We need to treat you. There's nothing wrong, that's a big case. Experts from all over the province have come, and it took us several months to solve it together. The credit is collective. We are all just individual gears, and we can only unleash tremendous energy by tightly interlocking." Xu Changsheng continued to talk about the big truth. Sun Yi had a slight temper. "How is Xiaoqi?" Xu Changsheng asked. "How about what?" Sun Yi asked shyly. "I'm not asking how he looks, I'm asking how he cooperates with you," Xu Changsheng joked. "Be careless," Sun Yi said disdainfully. In fact, Xu Changsheng is a bit selfish. Sun Yi is 26 years old, and she doesn't have a boyfriend yet. As someone in their industry, she doesn't have time to talk to boys outside her circle about friends. So, he has been looking for opportunities to observe Sun Yi and see which young man in their bureau is more suitable. After summoning Xiao Qi into the team this time, he had noticed several times that Sun Yi's gaze at Xiao Qi was different from that of others. Observing this phenomenon was not difficult for Xu Changsheng, a passerby. Seeing Sun Yi feeling a bit embarrassed, Xu Changsheng immediately changed the topic and said, "How was your situation at Guanshan prison today?" After listening to Wang Dali's words, "I don't think he's lying. Someone really hired him to replace the traffic accident," she said as she took out the interrogation recorder and handed it to the master. After taking the recorder, Xu Changsheng placed it on the table and said, "It's time for dinner. Come, let's invite Xiao Zheng and Xiao Qi to go eat hot pot together." It's hot pot again. Complaining comes from complaining, and the master always treats guests happily. After dinner, Xu Changsheng decided to go home early tonight. He hasn't been home for over 4 months and misses his wife and children. Although I often had video calls in the provincial capital, it was still incomparable to face-to-face communication. The next morning, Xu Changsheng, who had returned home, looked like a fully charged phone and was in a fully charged standby state. He first reviewed the cases handled by Sun Yi and her team during his absence in the past few months, and he felt that there was nothing inappropriate with their handling. Then he began to look at the interrogation records of Wang Dali that Sun Yi brought back yesterday. After reading them, his judgment was the same as Sun Yi's. That was, what Wang Dali said was true, and he had no reason to fabricate such a lie to fool the police. Moreover, the police would soon find a result of such a matter upon investigation. He decided to start investigating the impersonation traffic accident case exposed by Wang Dali today. For the convenience of investigation, he named this case 3.28 Grand Case, named after time and temporarily uncertain, in line with his consistent rigorous and serious style. Xu Changsheng first thought about why that person suddenly stopped giving money to Wang Dali. He thinks there are only 3 possibilities in general. Firstly, he believed that the person might think that Wang Dali had already received over 300,000 yuan from him. Even if he didn't continue to give it at this moment, Wang Dali would not report and expose this matter. Because if Wang Dali reports and exposes, he will also have to spit out the money he received himself. He just gambled that Wang Dali would remain silent. Secondly, he believes that the person may not be worried about Wang Dali exposing him now. For example, he thinks that even if the police intervene, they cannot find him, or he has already gone abroad, and even if they find him, they cannot bring him back. Thirdly, he believes that the person may want to continue giving money, but for some reason they cannot continue giving money. For example, if he already only had so much money, or if for some reason the money was gone, or if something happened to that person and they couldn't arrange to continue giving money. Apart from the above 3 situations, he couldn't think of any other possibilities. But in which of the above situations, Xu Changsheng will not make subjective assumptions now. He has considered these 3 possibilities just to arrange the next investigation direction. Next, he immediately made the following arrangements. Sun Yi took Xiao Qi to investigate the source of funds paid by Wang Dali's wife for his son's leukemia. Xiao Zheng assisted Xiao Lu in investigating the surveillance footage of the road sections around Maoming Road and Tai'an Road on the day of the traffic accident. He felt that there was no surveillance footage at the location of the incident, but criminals would always pass through areas with surveillance when entering that area. Although it was a bit difficult, there was still some possibility. He was just a little worried that the surveillance footage there would still be preserved after such a long time. Finally, he personally led someone to investigate Feng Xiuqin's situation. The person's deliberate design of a traffic accident that killed him must have had a hidden agenda behind it. At that time, this case was only a serious traffic accident, and their criminal police team did not handle it, so the relevant information was in the Traffic Security Corps. However, according to Wang Dali's exposure, this case may escalate into a deliberate homicide case, so transferring the case to the criminal police team was a smooth process. Xu Changsheng first made a phone call to Zhang Wei, the captain of the Transportation Corps, to coordinate the transfer of information for this case. Zhang, the captain, stated that he would immediately arrange for someone to deliver the information. The handover of case materials is very efficient. In less than an hour, Pan1 from the Criminal Archives Department called Xu Changsheng and reported that the Traffic Brigade had submitted the files to their criminal archives. 5 minutes later, Xu Changsheng had already sat in the archives and started studying the 3.28 case. What he is most concerned about now is Feng Xiuqin, the person who was hit and killed. On the file, it was written: Feng Xiuqin, female, born in 1985, family address. Room 302, number 12 Jinkai Garden, number 38 Jifang Middle Road, Lupang District, Jinhai City, Hedong Province. She was then the director of the Student Registration Management Office of the Jinhai Education Bureau. Xu Changsheng knew that Jinkai Garden was located in the city center, and the incident occurred in a relatively remote area on the outskirts of the city. So what was Feng Xiuqin doing there that night? How did she go? Obviously, she didn't drive by herself, and it's not realistic to walk there. So she either took a taxi or took a bus, and based on her age and identity, the likelihood of taking a taxi is relatively high. As for why she went there is no record in the archives. There are indeed many details missing in non-criminal cases. Xu Changsheng had to decide to immediately go to Feng Xiuqin's husband to understand. If her husband also doesn't know, then go to her former colleagues to understand. Anyway, Xu Changsheng determined that the reason why Feng Xiuqin went there should have a direct causal relationship with her murder. Chapter 6. Disclosure, 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feng Xiuqin's husband's name is Yang Sheng and he is a staff member of the Municipal Youth Palace, which is not far from the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Perhaps it has been more than half a year since the accident, when the person in charge of the Youth Palace brought Yang Sheng to the waiting Xu Changsheng. Xu Changsheng could no longer see the pain of losing his wife on Yang Sheng's face. Mr. Yang, I'm sorry to bother you. I have some information about Feng Xiuqin that I would like to inquire about, said Xu Changsheng. Isn't this accident more than half a year ago? Yang Sheng was a bit puzzled. It's like this, now there's a situation that we didn't know before, and the nature of the situation may change, Xu Changsheng said while paying attention to Yang Sheng's expression. Oh, what kind of property has it become now? Yang Sheng's reaction was very lackluster. It's not easy to draw a conclusion about this yet. We need to investigate before we know. So what are you looking for me for now? I would like to ask if you know why Feng Xiuqin went to the area around Maoming Road and Tai'an Road that night. I don't know why she went there, but she did call me before work and told me that she would have dinner with a friend from her hometown tonight. Where is your hometown? Where is your hometown? Guanxian is the county below Jinhai. We later moved our household registration to Jinhai after working there. Did she mention the names of her friends in her hometown? Are they male or female? No, I usually don't ask her so much detail. Adults each need to leave some space, and we trust each other. Is there a lot of this situation? Not much, now only 2 or 3 times a year. It's more common when I was young. Don't you worry if she doesn't come home so late. I called her in the middle and she said it was almost done, so I didn't have to worry. Later, when I received a call from the police, what was your reaction? What reaction? Of course it's shock and sadness. Xu Changsheng's question caused Yang Sheng's displeasure, and his tone became higher. Xu Changsheng quickly apologized and said, Mr. Yang, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. It's okay. Seeing Xu Changsheng apologize, Yang Sheng's tone also calmed down. Did Feng Xiuqin have any abnormalities a few days before the incident? No, Yang Xing said after a while, is there one thing I don't know if it counts? What's up? Xu Changsheng asked alertly. I remember one day before the incident, during dinner, she seemed to be in a good mood and asked me if I knew about the change of the crown prince from the civet cat. I said of course I know, anyone with some historical knowledge doesn't know this illusion. And what did she say? She didn't say anything, just smiled. Aren't you curious why she asked this and didn't ask further? I asked her how she said this, but she just smiled and didn't answer me. Xu Changsheng was also a bit curious. Feng Xiuqin suddenly asked such a question and didn't continue discussing it. So what did she mean? For Xu Changsheng, this can at least be considered as a question to ponder. After her unfortunate death, did you notice anything missing or added at home, such as changes in bank card funds? Xu Changsheng continued to ask. No, what do you mean? Yang Sheng asked somewhat guarded, what did you find? Why do you ask that? Xu Changsheng has been asking while observing Yang Sheng. He feels that Yang Sheng doesn't seem to know much more than they do, so he doesn't want to hide anything from him. Perhaps catching Yang Sheng's attention can help them recall more clues. It's like this, Wang Dali exposed in prison that someone paid him to replace the perpetrator, so we now suspect that someone intentionally killed Feng Xiuqin. This is not an ordinary traffic accident, but a carefully planned murder case. What? Yang Sheng was so surprised that he couldn't speak. Of course, we have just restarted the investigation, and we still need to confirm whether it was the murder through the investigation. Therefore, we really need your help now. I think returning the truth to Feng Xiuqin must be your wish. Of course, of course. Yang Sheng was still a bit confused, and this transformation did have a big impact on him. Think back on these days and see if you can think of anything. This is my phone number, you can call me anytime. Xu Changsheng handed the prepared note to Yang Sheng. He felt that Yang Sheng should calm down now, so he said goodbye. After leaving the youth palace, Xu Changsheng drove directly to the education bureau where Feng Xiuqin worked before his death. He wanted to know what Feng Xiuqin was mainly doing before the incident, which may be helpful for the case. After arriving at the education bureau, he presented his documents and explained his purpose. The reception staff attached great importance to it and directly notified the deputy director in charge of work, Xia Ku. Xia Ku was also very supportive and immediately came down personally to take Xu Changsheng to the student registration department. The current director of the student registration department, Ji Lili, used to be Feng Xiuqin's deputy. After Feng Xiuqin's car accident, she was promoted to director, so she is very familiar with Feng Xiuqin. Moreover, she still remembers what they were doing before Feng Xiuqin's accident, which is good news for Xu Changsheng. Director Ji, could you provide a detailed introduction to the main work you and Feng Xiuqin were doing at that time? Xu Changsheng asked. Okay, I still remember this very clearly. Director Feng had an accident at the end of March last year. Starting from mid-March each year, our main job was to prepare for the annual adult college entrance examination, which usually lasts for half a month. So during that time, we mainly accepted students' applications, and then reviewed their student status and files to ensure the completeness and accuracy of student information. Did your preparation for the adult college entrance examination go smoothly last year, and did you encounter any problems in the process? No, it's the same as in previous years. Usually, this kind of thing doesn't go wrong. At most, it's just that the candidate's information is incomplete and they are notified to complete the information. Hello, good memories. Did Feng Xiuqin show any unusual behavior during that time, such as being particularly happy or angry? Anyway, you think it was different from her usual. This is very important to us. Xu Changsheng solemnly said the last sentence. Xiao Ji, think carefully before answering. Deputy Director Xia was also helping to encourage her. Ji Lili unconsciously scratched her head, thought for a while, and apologized, I can't remember where she's different from usual. Xu Changsheng also realized that things that happened more than a year ago and were not particularly memorable can't be remembered. On the day she had an accident, she was going to have dinner with a friend from her hometown, did you know? I don't know, Ji Lily said as she shook her head. Did you feel that she had a lot of phone calls during those days, whether they were incoming or outgoing? I don't know, like when we make phone calls, if it's not a work-related matter, we usually go to the hallway to make them. Besides, Director Feng's office was independent at the time, so we didn't know when we made calls inside. Okay, that's all for now. Xu Changsheng felt like he had asked enough, so he bid farewell to Deputy Director Xia and Ji Lily. After Xu Changsheng left the Education Bureau, he drove directly to the Telecommunications Bureau. Yan Huafeng, the head of the Telecommunications Bureau's Information Department, was an old acquaintance of Xu Changsheng. Due to the nature of the case, they didn't know how much they had to deal with in a year. Upon seeing Xu Changsheng enter, Yan Huafeng warmly greeted him, "Old Xu, all the information you need is ready for you." As he spoke, he pointed to a file bag on the table. Xu Changsheng picked up the file bag, feeling very light, and asked, "So few?" "Yeah, don't you want it within a month, just one page of paper?" Xu Changsheng knew that many people, especially middle-aged people, have little social interaction nowadays, but he didn't expect Feng Xiuqin's monthly call records to not reach a single page. However, many people now use WeChat, especially when it comes to personal matters, and it's not surprising to think of this. "Lao Yen, thank you," Xu Changsheng said as he walked out. "Let's go well." Yan Huafeng was not polite either. Half an hour later, Xu Changsheng had already placed the call record of Feng Xiuqin from the month before the incident brought back by the Telecommunications Bureau on the table for research. Lao Yan's service was very thoughtful, and the name or unit information of each phone owner who spoke to Feng Xiuqin was marked next to it. Xu Changsheng scanned line by line, including the owner's information and call duration. Most of the call records do not exceed 2 minutes, with her husband Yang Sheng calling the most, followed by several colleagues in the workplace. Xu Changsheng noticed that Feng Xiuqin had several call records with the Jinhai Civil Affairs Bureau switchboard in the last few days, each time ranging from a few seconds to a few minutes. On the day of Feng Xiuqin's accident, there were only 2 call records. One was called to the Civil Affairs Bureau at 2:12 p.m., and the other was called to Yang Sheng at 4:30 p.m. Xu Changsheng remembered Yang Sheng telling him that Feng Xiuqin was going to have dinner with a friend from her hometown that day. Would that friend be in the Civil Affairs Bureau? Because meals always have to be arranged, and the only phone call left on that day, except for calling her husband Yang Sheng, was to call the Civil Affairs Bureau. But Xu Changsheng immediately thought of another possibility, which was that Feng Xiuqin could also make an appointment for a meal on WeChat or QQ. In addition, there is a natural cooperative relationship between their student registration department and the Civil Affairs Bureau, and some basic information of candidates should be verified with the Civil Affairs Bureau. Chapter 7. Disclosure 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thinking of this, Xu Changsheng immediately called Ji Lily, and Ji Lily's answer was as expected by Xu Changsheng. They need to cooperate with the Civil Affairs Bureau in their work. But Ji Lily inadvertently mentioned that Director Feng arranged the following staff to do the specific work. Why did Feng Xiuqin make a few phone calls to the Civil Affairs Bureau during that time? Xu Changsheng couldn't help but fall into contemplation. In the evening, the team members who were sent out to carry out tasks in the morning returned in batches like birds returning to their cages. Firstly, Xiao Zheng and Xiao Lu brought back disappointing news. Due to being over a year old and having no preserved value, the monitoring of the Julishan Street area where Maoming Road and Tai'an Road are located has been covered by subsequent monitoring. That is to say, the clues that led to the car accident in that area through surveillance have been cut off. Sun Yi and Xiao Qi brought back good news. Wang Dali's wife admitted that the funds for treating her son did indeed come from the garbage bin placed by that person under the overpass on the ring road, as Wang Dali had instructed. If she didn't admit it, she couldn't explain the origin of the money. Neither their income nor bank statements could reach the amount of this money. At the same time, Sun Yi also reflected Wang Dali's wife's current concerns. What should be done with the treatment of her child in the future? She hopes to have Wang Dali reduce his sentence and come out early. Xu Changsheng silently recorded this matter, and he planned to launch a fundraising campaign in the bureau through Wu Bureau to help the family. According to Xu Changsheng's suggestion, the Wu Bureau approved the establishment of the 3.28 murder case special task force, and instructed that this heinous murder case must be thoroughly investigated. The next morning, Xu Changsheng organized a case discussion meeting with several people including Sun Yi, Xiao Zheng, Xiao Lu, and Xiao Qi. He asked everyone to use their intuition to answer the questions he raised at the meeting, emphasizing the importance of intuition rather than thinking. Xu Changsheng asked, what problems is Feng Xiuqin most likely to encounter or discover when she was registering and confirming her student status for the adult college entrance examination at that time? The student registration is fake. Xiao Qi was the first to grab it. Xu Changsheng continued to ask, when Feng Xiuqin was having dinner with her husband, she asked him if he knew about the story of the civet cat changing crown prince. Why did she ask that? Sun Yi answered first this time, she also encountered a similar story. Xu Changsheng continued to ask, her husband asked her why she mentioned this story, but she didn't answer. Why is that? She doesn't want her husband to really know about this, Sun Yi replied. Why did she say it again earlier? Xiao Zheng next to her interjected. That's where a person's contradictions lie. When encountering something that excites them, sometimes they can't help but want to share it with others. However, they are afraid that others will completely know the details, so they usually just want to say it and then rest. What they need is this kind of suspense. Oh, I understand. For example, if I win 5 million, I am very happy. I would proudly ask you how to spend it if I win 5 million, but I won't tell you that I really won 5 million. Xiao Lu looked at Sun Yi eagerly, hoping she would confirm her understanding. Unexpectedly, Sun Yi glanced at him and said, you think so beautifully. Xu Changsheng saw that they stopped talking and continued to ask. On the afternoon of the incident, Feng Xiuqin called her husband and said she wanted to have dinner with her friends from her hometown. Then she was hit and killed that night. What could be the reason? This friend from her hometown may have killed her. She must have offended her somewhere, or she discovered her friend's big secret and was silenced by her friend. This time, Xiao Qi was the first to answer, and the young man was indeed quick-witted and had a big brain. Did you watch too many suspense films and still silence them? She's a student administrator who can keep a lot of secrets. Sun Yi choked Xiao Qi beside her. Master, didn't he say we should answer with intuition? That's my intuition, Xiao Qi replied reluctantly. Sun Yi was about to continue speaking when Xu Changsheng stopped her and said, okay, you guys go back and get busy first, let me sort out your thoughts. Through yesterday's investigation, Xu Changsheng naturally has some of his own ideas. The brainstorming he had this morning was to confirm how much his ideas differed from the most primitive intuition of the team members, and now he is very satisfied. Based on the facts of yesterday's investigation, his thoughts, and the intuition of the team members, Xu Changsheng made the following inference. Feng Xiuqin accidentally discovered a big secret while processing the students' enrollment information. This secret is similar to the story of a fox-cat changing crown prince. She accidentally revealed it to her husband, and she once sought verification from the Civil Affairs Bureau. This secret may be related to a friend from her hometown, or she wants to verify it with this friend from her hometown, so she arranged for this friend to have dinner together. What she didn't know, or expected, was that her secret had already been known by the person involved, who hired Wang Dali's car and murdered her in the guise of a car accident. Next, there are two more questions. One is her friend from her hometown the person she discovered the problem with? If so, did this friend from his hometown kill Feng Shiqin? If not, how did the person who killed Feng Shiqin know that Feng Shiqin would appear at the location of the car accident that night? The second question is how does that person know that Wang Dali drives a taxi, and more importantly, that Wang Dali needs a large amount of money to treat his son's illness? The first question above cannot be answered at the moment, but Xu Changsheng has a way to solve the second question. He remembers hearing from Wang Dali in his interrogation records that they had sought help from relevant government departments. Did someone at that time obtain information about Wang Dali's family situation? Of course, there are also relatives and neighbors who know about Wang Dali's situation, and even colleagues who drive taxis together, but who would spend hundreds of thousands to bribe Wang Dali to replace the car accident. Thinking of this, Xu Changsheng immediately dialed the phone opened by Hu Yun from Guanshan prison. Lao Hu, I am Xu Changsheng. Can you quickly help me review Wang Dali and ask him which government departments he has applied for assistance from before? What materials were provided at that time? I am very urgent on my end. Okay, I'll go right away. I'll call you back as soon as there's a result, Hu Yunkai readily agreed. Xu Changsheng paced back and forth in the office, worried that Wang Dali had applied for assistance from many departments at the time, which would make it difficult for them to investigate. Hu Yunkai didn't ask him to wait long before he called and said, "Hello, Lao Su. I have asked, and Wang Dali only sought help from the Charity Association of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Jinhai City, asking them to help his son launch charity fundraising and assistance. At that time, they provided family information, their couple's work unit and income status, as well as the hospital certificate of their son's illness." Okay, I understand. Xu Changsheng was very satisfied with the results brought by Hu Yunkai. It's the Civil Affairs Bureau again. Xu Changsheng wrote the Civil Affairs Bureau in the middle of the whiteboard, then drew a line to write Feng Shiqin, and then drew a line to write Wang Dali. Will the killer be hiding in the Civil Affairs Bureau? Xu Changsheng suddenly came up with such an idea. Feng Shiqin called the Civil Affairs Bureau actually because she discovered a problem with a person from the bureau during the process of handling student registration. She called to extort, or even extort him, her. And she, knew that Wang Dali urgently needed money because of his position, so in order to cover up the secret, he caused a traffic accident and murdered Feng Shiqin, and bribed Wang Dali to take the blame. Xu Changsheng believes that this reasoning is reasonable and reasonable. There are hundreds of people from the director to ordinary staff in the Civil Affairs Bureau, and there must have been many personnel transfers from last year to this year. Xu Changsheng still doesn't know how to start the investigation. He decided to start with the student registration work handled by Feng Shiqin last year and follow her trajectory to find out if he could find anything. He immediately called Ji Lily again, asking if she could still find the information of last year's adult college entrance examination applicants and how to do so. Ji Lily told him that all the information from the student registration department of their education bureau in previous years can be searched on their intranet. Upon hearing this news, he immediately decided to go to the education bureau again. Chapter 8. Past Events, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the Education Bureau, Ji Lily led Xu Changsheng to their reference room. Then Ji Lily asked the staff inside to open and log into their intranet. The operator opened a browser on the desktop, and a web page with the title, Jinhai City Student Enrollment Information Query System, was displayed on the screen. The operator then skillfully clicked on the Adult College Entrance Examination option and selected last year 2021 as the query year. Finally, he clicked Confirm, and the web page was immediately filled with query results. Xu Changsheng knows that this is similar to the criminal files in their Public Security Bureau, where each item represents each person and clicking on it will display more detailed information about that person. But he didn't know how they searched and verified their student information, so he asked, "Director Ji, how did you handle the student information of each candidate in the beginning? When candidates apply for the adult college entrance examination, they will fill out a personal information form. You see, that's it. She took a registration form from the nearby table and handed it to Xu Changsheng. When candidates apply, they will fill in their name, age, ID card, family information, primary school, middle school, and other information at the application point, take ID photos, and then attach their own photos. Each application point will input the received candidate information into our system, and our student registration department will verify whether each person's information is accurate and qualified to participate in the exam. Ji Lily explained. Isn't everyone eligible to register? Xu Changsheng asked. Participating in the adult college entrance examination does not require a criminal record, and the main requirement is that you have a high school education level and must be at least 16 years old. Additionally, if you have already attended university, you are not allowed to participate in the adult college entrance examination. There are other requirements except for medical subjects, which basically meet the registration requirements. Ji Lily replied. Did anyone who registered last year not meet the requirements? Xu Changsheng asked. There are a few, not many. Let's take a look at these candidates who don't meet the requirements first, Xu Changsheng said to the staff. The staff member clicked on a filtering condition on the web page, and the originally full-screen information suddenly became a few. Xu Changsheng looked at the screen and suddenly pointed to a name and said, Wang Chuanxiu, click on it to take a look. The staff clicked the Details button, and a page displaying Wang Chuanxiu's personal details appeared on the web page. There is a 1-inch ID photo of her in the upper right corner. Xu Changsheng quickly scanned Wang Chuanxiu's personal information. Wang Chuanxiu, female, Han ethnicity, born in June 1984, from Wangjia Village, Shiqi Township, Moshan Town, Qingxi District, Guanxian County. She graduated from Wushuan High School in Guanxian County and works at Zongqinggolf Travel Agency in Jinhai City. When Xu Changsheng first saw this name, he felt like he had seen it somewhere before. When he saw the last workplace, he finally remembered that it was the tour guide who reported the cliff fall case that Sun Yi and his team handled. How could they have happened to see her here? Why doesn't she meet the application requirements? Xu Changsheng asked. This shows that she is in a revoked state, the staff said. What does revocation status mean? The revocation status means that she had registered before, but later cancelled the registration, which means she didn't take the exam. Oh, are there many of these situations? Not many, but this situation occasionally occurs in some years. Can you tell the reason for her cancellation of registration? I can't tell. But this is usually revoked only when I propose not to take the exam. Xu Changsheng thought to himself that he needed to ask Wang Chuanxiu herself to find out why she had cancelled her registration. Then Xu Changsheng looked at the information of several other people who did not meet the registration requirements and were revoked, and did not feel anything wrong. Then he asked, how many people registered in total last year? The staff removed the filtering criteria and clicked on the query again, saying, there are 238 people registered in the entire city of Jinhai. Xu Changsheng frowned and asked, there are quite a few people here. Can I copy them and bring them back to the Public Security Bureau for careful study? Ji Lily seemed to hesitate for a moment and said, normally, these candidate information is not disclosed to the public. But you are required by the Public Security Bureau to handle cases, so it should be possible. I will consult Director Xie. She then picked up the landline on the desk and dialed Xieku's phone. She first reported on Xu Changsheng's request, then answered a few, yes, 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 and then hung up the phone and said to the staff, copy all the information of these candidates to a USB drive, and have Captain Xu take them back for investigation. On the way back to the city office, Xu Changsheng listened to Bandrui's light music while contemplating the case. The cliff fall case handled by Sun Yi and his team did not involve him as he was handling the case in the provincial capital at the time. However, upon returning, he had reviewed the case file and, based on the various pieces of evidence at that time, there was no problem in determining the case as an accidental accident. And now he suddenly had a strange feeling about the cliff fall case from the beginning, which came from some coincidence. Firstly, in the adult college entrance examination enrollment that Feng Xiuqin handled at the time, he saw the name of the person who reported the cliff fall incident, Wang Chuanxiu. Secondly, more importantly, he remembered that the person who fell off the cliff was named Wang Yanping, who was the deputy director of the Jinhai Civil Affairs Bureau at that time, which Feng Xiuqin had contacted several times by phone before the incident. Are these just coincidences? Feng Xiuqin was killed by a car and Wang Yanping fell off a cliff, both of which were initially classified as accidents. However, now that Wang Dali's exposure confirms that Feng Xiuqin was intentionally murdered, is it not an accident for Wang Yanping to fall off a cliff? What role did Wang Chuanxiu, a seemingly ordinary tour guide from China Youth Travel Service, play in both events? With this in mind, Xu Changsheng immediately made up his mind and the focus of the investigation shifted to Wang Chuanxiu. After returning to the city bureau, Xu Changsheng called Sun Yi to the office. Sun Yi, do you still remember Wang Chuanxiu? Wang Chuanxiu. Sun Yirua thought for a moment, oh, of course I remember. The reporter of Wang Yanping's cliff fall was a tour guide from China Youth Travel Service. Why did you suddenly ask her? I saw her name in last year's adult college entrance examination registration at the Student Registration Department of the Education Bureau today. Xu Changsheng then gave a brief introduction to today's investigation. I want you and Xiao Qi to go to the China Youth Travel Agency today to investigate why Wang Chuanxiu applied for the adult college entrance examination last year, and why did she cancel her registration later. Okay, Sun Yi agreed and went out. Can you first contact the travel agency and ask if Wang Chuanxiu has led a team on a trip to another city? Xu Changsheng shouted from behind. Yes, master, you are really more careful than a woman. Sun Yi's luck is good. Wang Chuanxiu just returned from another city with a group yesterday and happened to be at a travel agency today. In a few days, she will be taking the group out again. Wang Chuanxiu has a good memory. Although Sun Yi and the others were wearing casual clothes this time, she recognized Sun Yi at a glance. Although she was a bit surprised at first, she immediately regained her composure. Is that Officer Sunday? Do you also want to join a tour group? Wang Chuanxiu said as she looked at Xiao Qi next to her, seeming to treat them as a couple. Sun Yi understood her meaning and her face turned red. She immediately said, no, we're here to get some information from you. Wang Chuanxiu was a bit puzzled, what situation? It's not about Wang Yanping falling off a cliff, Sun Yi explained. I wanted to ask about your registration for the adult college entrance examination last year. This question seemed a bit unexpected to Wang Chuanxiu. She hesitated for a moment before saying, oh, I wanted to take the adult college entrance examination last year. Why did you cancel it later? Busy, just a few days after I signed up, I found out that I frequently had to take groups on trips and didn't have time to review. I have been graduating from high school for so many years, and if I don't study hard, it will be in vain, Wang Chuanxiu said helplessly. In what year did you graduate from high school? Wang Chuanxiu thought for a moment and said, it's been 15 or 16 years since 2004. Why did you want to apply for the adult college entrance examination again in the beginning? In order to fulfill my college dream, Wang Chuanxiu said somewhat helplessly. At that time, my family was poor and I couldn't afford to repeat my studies. I came out to work before I passed the exam. Now that I have made money and some savings, I want to fulfill my college dream. But suddenly I feel too busy to review, so I have to give up first and consider it when I have time in the future. Did you know Director Feng Xiuqin there before? It seems like your hometown is Guanxian, right? I don't know, there are too many fellow villagers in Guan County here. This is true. Guan County is the closest to the city center of Jinhai among the counties under its jurisdiction. Chapter 9. Past Events, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. While Sun Yi and Xiao Qi were visiting Wang Chuanxiu, Xu Changsheng was not idle either. It is obvious that there is a connection between the murder of Feng Shiqin and the fall of Wang Yanping from a cliff. The first association is that Wang Chuanxiu appeared in both cases, and the second association is that the Civil Affairs Bureau also appeared in both cases. The person associated with the Civil Affairs Bureau is Wang Yanping, a former deputy director of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Therefore, after Xu Changsheng and Sun Yi left, he immediately drove to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Coincidentally, Xu Changsheng is quite familiar with the current director of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Wei Limin. Wei Limin was promoted to the position of director of the Civil Affairs Bureau 5 years ago from the captain of the Public Security Corps of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. He can be considered to be of the same generation as his master, Wu Yuliang. Before Xu Changsheng went, he had already greeted Director Wei to ensure that he had time to receive him. He felt that it was not enough to get to know Deputy Director Wang Yanping solely from the people below. Because Director Wei had already greeted the receptionists below, as soon as Xu Changsheng arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, a receptionist girl directly led Xu Changsheng to the director's office. "Changsheng, come, sit here." Seeing Xu Changsheng come in, Director Wei walked out from behind his desk and sat down on the opposite sofa, while also asking Xu Changsheng to sit down. "Xiao Chu, go pour a cup of tea for Captain Xu." The little girl named Xiao Chu responded and went out. They exchanged a few pleasantries first, and only got to the point after Xiao Chu brought the tea and closed the door. "Changsheng, isn't it already settled that Wang Yanping fell off the cliff, and it has been almost half a year since then? Why did you ask her again? Did you discover new doubts?" Director Wei asked. "It's not a doubt either. There is a new case involving the reporter of Wang Yanping's cliff fall case at that time. For the sake of caution, let's investigate together." "Oh, what do you want to know?" "I would like to hear your opinion on Wang Yanping," Xu Changsheng said. Director Wei pondered for a moment and said, "Wang Yanping is a very young and energetic female cadre. She was promoted from Guanxian County in September last year, and the local organization department evaluated her as having strong leadership and outstanding business abilities. After coming to Jinhai, she was in charge of social assistance, social welfare, social affairs, military-civilian support, and elderly work in 5 major subordinate organizations, and did a very good job." Oh, Xu Changsheng certainly understood that this was an old leader's big judgment on his subordinates, and besides, this subordinate had passed away. What interests Xu Changsheng is that Wang Yanping is in charge of the social assistance and welfare institutions that Wang Dali applied for assistance from the Civil Affairs Bureau at that time, which means that Wang Yanping can easily obtain Wang Dali's family situation. How is her personal quality? Because Xu Changsheng is very familiar with Director Wei, he is not afraid to ask such a question. As a colleague of mine, she possesses excellent qualities such as honesty, integrity, humility, confidence, and perseverance. She can lead by example in her work and is a role model for the employees below. Director Wei paused for a moment, hesitating to speak, but ultimately said, "However, after her death, we received an anonymous letter stating that she had received money but did not act for others." "Oh, when was that?" "Last December, about a month after her death." "Have you checked?" "No way to check. The anonymous letter said he put the money in an envelope and stuffed it in cash into the car where Wang Yanping had opened a little window. The place he mentioned was not monitored, and Wang Yanping was also dead. He himself is anonymous and can no longer verify it. Moreover, we cannot rule out that it was someone who had a personal grudge against Wang Yanping before who played a prank." Although Director Wei said so, Xu Changsheng took this information to heart. "Wei Bureau, is Wang Yanping's file still in your bureau's archive room?" "It should be there, I'll help you ask." Subsequently, Wei Ju dialed the phone number of the archives office, and Xu Changsheng heard the other party say that the archives were still there. "Let's go." Wei Ju hung up the phone and took Xu Changsheng to the archives room. When they arrived at the archives, the archivist had already placed Wang Yanping's archive bag on the table. On the brown craft paper archive bag, there are two large red characters written "Archive." The slightly outdated color and rough texture indicate that the owner is already quite old. Xu Changsheng carefully opened the latch and gently took out the files inside. The top one is a record of Wang Yanping's family relationship and birth date. The paper is old and yellowed, with the seal of the local police station on it. The seal is blurry, and Xu Changsheng carefully examined it before putting it aside. The second one is a record of Wang Yanping's elementary school, with the school seal also stamped at the back. Next up are the materials for middle school and high school. When Xu Changsheng flipped through the 5th page, he suddenly realized that there was something wrong. He didn't notice any problem with the content, but the paper was incorrect. Specifically, the 6 or 7 pages of paper from Wang Yanping's high school to Jin Hailai's deputy director made Xu Changsheng feel that it was about the same year. It is reasonable to say that there is a span of 20 years between the age of 16 or 17 in high school and her becoming the deputy director of 367. These papers should have a gradual transition from old to new, just like the first 4 pages. Could it be that the file was redone due to some unexpected incident in the past? Or did the files behind it have been deliberately modified? Wei Ju also noticed Xu Changsheng's doubts, and before he could ask, he said, her files were transferred with her from Guanxin County. Well, Guanxin. Before Xu Changsheng arrived, he already knew that Wang Yanping was from Guanxin, and Feng Shiqin, who was involved in a car accident, was also from Guanxin. Feng Shiqin had called the Civil Affairs Bureau several times before the accident. Could it be that she was looking for Wang Yanping, and Wang Yanping happened to be a friend of Feng Shiqin's hometown? In addition, coincidentally, Wang Chuanxiu, a tour guide from China Youth Travel Service who reported the accident from the cliff, was also from Guanxin. Thinking of this, Xu Changsheng immediately carefully put the archive files back into the file bag and asked the archivist, "Can I borrow this for 1 or 2 days?" The archivist looked at Director Wei and he nodded. Xu Changsheng saw the situation and said to Wei Ju, "Thank you very much for your help today. I am planning to go to Guan County immediately, so I will bid farewell first." "Okay, be careful on the way," Wei Ju reminded him. Indeed, the winding mountain road to Guanxian requires a high level of attention at all times due to its complex road conditions. But on the Kaipan Mountain Highway, you can enjoy a different scenery. As the road spirals up or down, Xu Changsheng sees the magnificent natural scenery around him, such as mountains, canyons, streams, etc. These beautiful views make driving less difficult and boring. After driving for an hour and a half, Xu Changsheng finally arrived at the Guanxin Civil Affairs Bureau before leaving work. To his surprise, He Chang, the director of the Civil Affairs Bureau of Guan County, was waiting for him at the door. "What a thoughtful Wei Bureau, it's really considerate," Xu Changsheng thought to himself. He Chang said, "Captain Xu, Director Wei has already told me your purpose for coming. Just let me know what you need, and I will fully cooperate." After hearing what He Chang said, Xu Changsheng didn't hesitate to say, "Director He, I would like to inquire about some information with the comrades in your archives." "Okay, you come with me." He Chang directly took Xu Changsheng to the archive room on the 2nd floor and instructed a little girl who was organizing materials, saying, "Shaoli, Captain Xu from Jinhai wants to know some information. Please let go of your work first." "Okay," Shaoli responded and came over. Xu Changsheng saw that Shaoli was very young, about in his early 20s, so he asked, "Shaoli, how many years have you been in the archives?" "Over a year ago, I only graduated from college last year," Shaoli replied. "Oh, do you know Director Wang Yanping who was transferred from here to Jinhai last year?" Upon hearing Wang Yanping's question, Shaoli was also stunned for a moment, probably knowing that she fell off a cliff at the end of last year. "I know, but I'm not familiar with it. She went to Jinhai shortly after I arrived." Oh, did you handle the transfer of her file to Jinhai at that time? I worked with Director Xu Changsheng to handle it. At that time, the Jinhai Civil Affairs Bureau issued a notice of file transfer to Director Wang. We counted and organized the file materials, confirmed that Director Wang's resume was complete, and then transmitted it to the Jinhai Civil Affairs Bureau through confidential transportation. Xu Changsheng is now the director of the archives, director he introduced to Xu Changsheng. Chapter 10. Past Events, 3. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Xu Changsheng took out Wang Yanping's file bag from his briefcase and handed it to Xiaoli, saying, "Look, was it like this at the time?" Xiaoli walked to his desk, opened his file bag, carefully pulled out the documents and placed them on the table, then flipped through them one by one from front to back. "That's right, it's like this," said Xiaoli. Xu Changsheng was a bit puzzled and said, "It's been over 6 months now. Why are you so certain that her files are like this?" "In the past 6 months, Director Wang's files have been transferred. When we transferred files, we had to carefully check them, and we found that the last few pages of the files seemed to be newly added, so I was very impressed at that time," explained Xiaoli. "Did you ask for any reason at that time?" Xu Changsheng pursued. "I wanted to ask, but Shanshan said that the former director of the archives had told her that Director Wang Yanping's archives were one day soaked by a glass of water flipped over when they were placed on the table. When she found out that several pages were blurry, she had to add it again. She told us never to put the water glass on the work table in the future." "Oh, so Shanshan doesn't even know about the repair work for this file." "It should be." Xiaoli nodded. "What was the name of the former director of the archives? Where is he now? Can you contact him?" Xu Changsheng asked director he next to him. "Her name is Huang Min, she is an elderly person from our Civil Affairs Bureau. She has been working here for over 20 years and has been working in the archives. It seems that 2 years ago, the old director of the county library retired, and Director Wang Yanping helped her secure the position of director. She was very happy to go and become the director." "Oh, then she must know about repairing Director Wang's files back then." "I need to ask her," Xu Changsheng said. "It's too late for you to rush over now. She should be off work now. Let me help you check her home address, director," he said. Guanxian is a small county town located in a mountain nest, but the natural environment is quite good. Huang Min's Guanjinuan community is located by the Guanhe River, which meanders through Guanxian County. Xu Changsheng knocked on Huang Min's door according to the address given by He Chang. After a while, a middle-aged woman in her 50s opened the door, wearing an apron around her waist, probably cooking. "Are you Huang Min?" "I'm Xu Changsheng from Jinhai Public Security Bureau," Xu Changsheng said as he handed her his documents. Upon hearing it was the Public Security Bureau, a middle-aged man walked out and said, "What's wrong with the Public Security Bureau?" Xu Changsheng was afraid that they would misunderstand, so he immediately said, "It's okay. I just came to understand the situation." "Oh, please come in," Huang Min asked Xu Changsheng into the room. Xu Changsheng sat directly on the sofa, took out Wang Yanping's file and placed it on the coffee table, saying, "I came this time to learn about Director Wang Yanping's file. I heard that Wang Yanping's file was accidentally wet by water at that time, and later repaired it." Upon hearing Xu Changsheng's question, Huang Min felt a bit nervous and didn't speak for a while. Upon seeing the situation, Xu Changsheng knew that she must be aware. In order to dispel her doubts, he said, "It's not a big deal. It's just a routine file inspection, and it was found that some information was missing from Wang Yanping's file." Huang Min saw Xu Changsheng's words and knew he couldn't hide them, so he said, "There was this thing, that was 4 or 5 years ago. It seems like Director Wang, when Wang Yanping was going to be promoted to deputy director. One day she came to me and said that her leader wanted her to write a document. She had some of her specific resumes that she couldn't remember clearly, so she needed to check her files. According to discipline, I usually don't allow her to open her files. But at that time, she was going to be the leader, so I tacitly agreed. She looked at it for a while, walked over and talked to me for a while, and when she returned, she suddenly shouted. I quickly ran over to see. It turned out that I was the one who released it. The teacup on the table poured out, wetting Wang Yanping's files. What happened later? Xu Changsheng asked urgently. I quickly used absorbent paper to absorb the water, and then used a dryer to dry it, but there were a few sheets that had been soaking for a long time and were still stuck together. In the end, I found that the words couldn't be read clearly. And then what? I was a bit nervous at the time. After all, it was my teacup that destroyed the document. But Wang Yanping comforted me and said, "It's okay, she remembers the contents of those destroyed files and just needs to fill them in." I was a bit worried at the time, but she said she wanted me to put the file bag back now, and tomorrow she will fill it up and hand it over to me to put in. This doesn't conform to the rules, does it? It doesn't match, but I felt guilty at the time. Besides, Wang Yanping is not a criminal, and I wanted to know what big problem could arise from repairing the files. Did you read the few pages of files she brought later? I've seen it. From a temporal perspective it's complete. Did you see anything different from before? To be honest, although we manage the files, we only check whether everyone's file history is complete at a specific time. For example, when the files are just transferred in, there will be changes, or when they are transferred out. Other times, they are kept in the file cabinet, and they will not be moved. So I can't guarantee whether the contents of her files are the same as before. However, there is still a little information missing from the files she patched, and I know it. Oh, what information? Upon hearing Huang Min's last sentence, Xu Changsheng suddenly became energized. She overlooked the record of her name change. Has she ever used another name? Yes. What's your name? Wang Chuanxiu. What, Wang Chuanxiu, isn't that the name of the tour guide from China Youth Travel Service? Xu Changsheng was also confused for a moment. You remember correctly, right? No, I received Wang Yanping when she came to report to the Civil Affairs Bureau of Guanxin County. I also received the files she transferred from university. After she was promoted several times, some of the changes in the files were written by me. So I won't forget her former name Wang Chuanxiu. When did she change her name to Wang Chuanxiu, and when did she change it back? It should have been changed to Wang Chuanxiu after graduating from high school, and later changed back to Wang Yanping after graduating from college. When she came to you, did she use Wang Chuanxiu or Wang Yanping? Wang Yanping, Huang Min said firmly. Have you asked her why she changed her name? I don't remember. When she first came to the Civil Affairs Bureau more than 10 years ago, she asked. Later, when she became a leader, she wouldn't ask. Xu Changsheng was puzzled when he heard this. It's really strange, it seems like he went to a university specifically under the name Wang Chuanxiu. As soon as Xu Changsheng remembered going to college, he suddenly remembered that Wang Chuanxiu from China Youth Travel Service had first applied for the adult college entrance examination and then stopped taking it. Isn't Sun Yi and her team going to investigate why Wang Chuanxiu cancelled the adult college entrance examination today? Thinking of this, Xu Changsheng immediately dialed Sun Yi's phone and said, "Hello, Sun Yi. How is the progress of your investigation into why Wang Chuanxiu cancelled the adult college entrance examination today?" Wang Chuanxiu said that she applied for the adult college entrance examination because she wanted to fulfill her college dream, but later found out that she was too busy with work to review, so she cancelled her application. Wang Chuanxiu's answer to Xu Changsheng is questionable. As a tour guide for many years, she is very clear about whether she is busy and when she is busy. Why did she only realize that she was busy and didn't have time to review when she registered? Xu Changsheng quickly flashed through some important elements from the Wang Yanping cliff fall case and Feng Xiuqin car accident case in his mind. To Wang Chuanxiu, the change of Crown Prince by Li Mao, repairing files, and the adult college entrance examination. Suddenly, his spirit flashed. Could this be a series of malignant events triggered by a cover-up case? He suddenly thought of a way. One can change his name, but she, can't change the ID number. Yes, through the ID card number, we can find out whether it was the tour guide Wang Chuanxiu or the Wang Yanping who was renamed Wang Chuanxiu who went to college at that time. Xu Changsheng immediately called Sun Yi. Sun Yi, go to the information department immediately to check the list of candidates who entered the Chinese Department of Hedong University of Technology in July 2003, their ID numbers and photos, and focus on whether there is any information about Wang Yanping and Wang Chuanxiu. Okay, I'll go right away, Sun Yi replied over there. Coming out of Huang Min's house, Xu Changsheng felt happy and received important information that Wang Yanping had briefly changed her name to Wang Chuanxiu. She was likely trying to cover up this fact by repairing her files later. His thinking is gradually becoming clearer, and now he is only waiting for Sun Yi's query results to verify his inference. At this moment it was already late outside, and Xu Changsheng's stomach was growling. He remembered that he had not eaten anything for most of the day since coming out of the city bureau today, so he decided to find a noodle shop to eat a bowl of noodles first. Considering the danger of opening the mountain road in the dark, he decided to find a hotel in Guanxian for one night today and return to Jinhai tomorrow morning. As soon as she sat down in the noodle shop, Sun Yi called with a surprised tone. "Shifu, what the hell is going on? We found that Wang Chuanxiu was admitted to the Chinese Department of Hedong University of Science and Technology, and his ID card number was also correct, but the photo was Wang Yanping. Have you found the academic information according to Wang Yanping's ID card number?" "Yes, graduated from Guanxian 2nd Senior High School in Jinhai City, without any university information." "How did you find out?" "It was found through the joint investigation channel between the Ministry of Public Security and the Ministry of Education on the Ministry of Education Student Information Network." "Can you ask if the internal institutions of the Ministry of Education have this query permission?" Xu Changsheng asked. After a while, Sun Yi replied, "Comrades from the Ministry of Education replied that institutions responsible for managing student enrollment have the authority to query information about their local students." "What about the student himself?" Xu Changsheng asked again. After a while, Sun Yi replied. "The comrades over there said that it was not possible before, but since the beginning of last year, the Ministry of Education has opened the student status inquiry function to individuals for the convenience of the public. First, individuals need to authenticate their real names, and then query all their student status information from primary school to the highest degree through their names and ID numbers." "Okay." Xu Changsheng answered one word. Everything was as he had expected. "What's good? Please explain it clearly. Tomorrow I'll go back to Jinhai and talk more about it. Now I'm going to eat noodles." Xu Changsheng finally breathed a sigh of relief.